I'm Carissa Kellman here for Marist College. This astounding and unprecedented story continues to evolve and impact athletics. Due to the recent increase in COVID-19 cases on campus, Marist has enacted a voluntary campus pause, which includes a suspension of Division I athletic programs. The pause that went into effect beginning at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, March 17th, has now been extended through Monday, April 11th, meaning the loss of an entire season for the Marist men's soccer team, who didn't get a chance to play any games. Today, I'm talking to Liam Salmon, sophomore midfielder for the Marist men's soccer team, to learn more about how the season went and how COVID has impacted it. Just to clarify, as of today, the schedule says that your first 5 games have been postponed. Does this indicate a reschedule, or have all games been canceled for your season?
All games have actually been canceled as of yesterday.
Okay. And in the fall, how is practice and your team dynamic different without having any games scheduled?
Well, in the fall, first off, a lot of people didn't choose to come back. They elected to do school remotely. We have a lot of international students, and for them, if knowing that we wouldn't have games being played, they decided to do it from home. So first of all, that really impacted the team dynamic. A lot of the other kids on our team didn't necessarily uh, weren't as motivated because they know they didn't have as much to prove without the full team being there. So the team dynamic was definitely very off without knowing that we had games to look forward to.
And in the fall, were there new protocols with being an athlete during the pandemic? Did anything change from this season to the last season?
In terms of like the spring.
Yes, and protocols with testing or
Yeah.
practice.
So we were tested 4 times a week as athletes this spring, whereas last semester we weren't tested at all. We were just treated like regular students. The only time that would be tested was for the randomized testing through Marist. So there was no special privileges in terms of testing for athletes.
Okay. And how is the communication in the fall in terms of whether or not you were going to have a season?
In this spring. So in the fall, we were pretty optimistic. I mean, in hindsight, now we know that our season's been canceled. So obviously couldn't say the same thing, but we were pretty optimistic that the season was going to be a go for the spring. But it seemed as time rolled on that it just kept on declining, and our hopes were just shattered at the end.
Yeah. And when did you find out that there was a spring campaign?
Or like a spring season.
Yeah, spring season.
We found out from the start that it was just going to be delayed until the spring. I think in August, our coach told us that it's not going to be canceled. It's going to be postponed until the spring.
Okay. And the first game to open the spring season was scheduled against Niagara on March 17th, and that was the first day the campus went on pause. How did that conversation go with the team and your coach?
Yeah, so Niagara actually came down. They stayed in the hotel. They were all ready to play. Um, and then Marist canceled the game about an hour and a half before the game when teams were already going to warm up and stuff. And that was crazy. That was like absolutely shocking in my opinion.
Yeah.
Uh, can't believe that they did that.
Yeah. And along the way, as Maris continued to extend the pause on the days it was supposed to end, were you hopeful and anticipating getting back onto the field? Or was athletics telling you anything, or how was the communication there?
Yeah, we were very hopeful. That's just because our coach kept us hopeful.
Mhm.
But athletics really didn't do a good job at keeping us informed. Um, the connectivity from the top end all the way through the student athletes was quite frankly terrible, and we weren't kind of aware of what was going to happen until it was eventually just over.
Yeah. And during the pause, were you still able to practice during that?
Yeah, so we still had a slot time available from 1 to 3 p.m. that we were able to go practice with our pods, so in smaller groups, and the coaches weren't there at the time, so we were just able to go with 3 or 4 of our housemates and go train.
And that was at Tenny Field.
Yeah,
At
that was at Penny.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in the 2020 to 21 preseason coaches poll for men's soccer, Marist was projected to finish in third place, as voted upon by the 11 head coaches in the conference, with Quinnipiac and St. Peter's ranked as the top 2 teams for you guys to beat. The following game on the schedule for March 21st, you were up against St. Peter's, and the last time you faced them in the MAC semifinals on November 14th was a tough loss at 3-2. So was this the game that you guys were anticipating the most this season?
I would say so. I mean, you always kind of want to beat the best team in the conference, and last year they were.
Yeah.
So we had a chip on our shoulder and something to prove. Obviously, as you mentioned, losing 3-2 in a tough match at St. Peter's, we definitely had a lot to prove this year, and we were really looking forward to that game.
Yeah. And has the way Marist handled this left you thinking about other options in terms of playing Division I soccer anywhere else?
Definitely. I know, me personally, I've been looking at a few other options. I'm not necessarily interested in pursuing it, but I know that other members on our team are very interested in it. Knowing that this connectivity between the student athletes and the administration has been so poor, I think that students, quite frankly, here have the right to explore other options. I think that'd be of interest to them.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for speaking with me, and I wish you good luck in the following season. Hopefully, you can play games in the fall. And thank you.
No problem.